Buongiorno a tutti, mi chiamo Charlotte e oggi facciamo un video sul titolo di un testo che ho trovato che si chiama Se non lo stai cambiando, allora lo stai scegliendo. Se non lo stai cambiando, lo stai scegliendo. Okay, so let's have a look at what that means. So we're going to look at a text which I found, which was, I think, at least originally part of a post by an Italian psychologist, Luca Mazzucchelli. Okay, members of my club will receive this document in an email, and in the document you can find the original link where this little, well, the 4 kind of paragraphs is actually posted. You can find the author. I think he might have released that as part of a book as well, which you might be able to purchase. So, club members, today we're going to look at this text, and I like the title, Se non lo stai cambiando, lo stai scegliendo. So this is in the to form. It's addressing an individual, a singular individual, in an informal way. So it's the tu form of address. So it means you, but not all of you. It means just one of you, and kind of addressing on the same kind of level informally. Okay, the way that you address, say, someone that you know, a family member, maybe a colleague, a friend, definitely, or a way that you address a child, someone younger than you. So what we see a lot of, at least a few times in this text, is the use of gerund forms of verbs. So verbs that end with ando or endo. Okay, so take any verb, say the verb cambiare, and you put it in its continuous form, the gerund form. So let me show you that. ARE verbs, for example, cambiare, which means to change. There's the verb cambiare. We're going to take the ARE off it. That leaves us with the stem, cambi, and we add the ending ando, cambiando. Okay, so that means changing. It's the gerund form, okay? Changing, cambiando. Then we have the verb scegliere, which is an ERE verb, scegliere. Interesting verb because it's got this soft S and CE, she, and then it's got the GLI, both together, so scegliere, scegliere. So that's an ERE verb. IRE verbs like finire and ERE verbs like scegliere, prendere, etc. In the gerund form end with endo. I'll show you soon. Take off the ERE ending. Scegli, you choose. And we add endo. Choosing, choosing, to choose, or to select if you like. I like translating that as to choose. But because it's in the gerund form, choosing, so it's kind of like a present participle. Right. What we see is the use of that, and you can see it up here in the first line of the text. Actually, it's the same as the title. You use it with the verb, or you can use it with the verb stare, and that puts it into the present continuous. Okay, I'll show you how that's done. So here we've got se non lo stai cambiando. Se non lo stai cambiando, if you are not changing, lo is it, like something, allora, then, lo stai scegliendo, you're choosing it. So here we've got the use of stare, the verb to be, or to remain, in the present tense, conjugated in the present tense, plus another verb, which is in the gerund form, okay, like I just showed you, with ando or endo, depending on whether it's an ARE verb or an IRE/ERE verb, respectively. So Luca Mazzucchelli is the author of the post that we're looking at. Okay, there's the handout. And I think what I'll do is I'll underline some of the infinitive verbs in this document so that you can see some vocab that you might not have seen before. And also you can recognise that when you're using this form of stare plus the gerund, often you'll see infinitive verbs as well. Se non lo stai cambiando, allora lo stai scegliendo. If you're not changing it, you're choosing it. I like that idea and I agree with it, I think. So, ovvero, se non stai cercando does mean to like look for, cercare, but it can also mean to try to do something. Se non lo stai cambiando, allora lo stai scegliendo. Ovvero, right, so I've looked up some ways to translate that. In other words, or otherwise, or rather. So otherwise, I guess, is the way to translate that. Otherwise, se non stai cercando in qualche misura di cambiare quegli aspetti della tua vita che non vanno come vorresti, allora significa che stai scegliendo di mantenerli. It's quite a long sentence there. So, otherwise, if you're not trying in some way, in some measure, by some means, to change those aspects of your life che non vanno, that are not going come vorresti, as you would like, as you would want, allora, well, significa che, this means that, or it means that, stai scegliendo, you are choosing, that's the same as up here, di mantenerli, to maintain them, or to keep them, or to, another way, mantenere. There's lots of ways of translating these verbs, but sometimes there's a specific one which works best. Yeah, preserve, there you go, to preserve. So, mantenerli, that's an infinitive verb with object pronoun li at the end. So, scegliere di fare qualcosa. If you're choosing to do something, you use the verb scegliere plus the preposition di plus an infinitive verb. So let's see if you can see that on my screen. Okay, so stai scegliendo, that means you are choosing di, to, mantenerli, maintain or keep or preserve them. Li here refers back to quegli aspetti della tua vita che non vanno come vorresti. That's a long old object there, but the short form, the aspects of your life that are not going as you want, as you wish. So, if you're not changing, if you're not trying to in some way change the aspects of your life that are not going as you wish, essentially you're choosing to allow them to persist. Okay? You're actively choosing not to do something, therefore it's a choice. Okay? Even if you think it's not a choice, it is. That's what the author is saying. So here we have cambiando, scegliendo, cercando, and then we have scegliendo again, and then other verbs that we have: significare, to mean, cambiare in the infinitive, that just means to change. We saw that up here in the gerund form. And then mantenere, to maintain, to keep, or to, what was it? What was the word? Preserve, okay? So to keep something, prevent from changing. What else can I mention here? Quegli aspetti. So the way that's written there is actually maybe not obvious. Quegli. Li aspetti, the aspects. quegli means those aspects. And there's various ways that you'll see that written. It might be quelli or quegli or quelle, depending on the gender of what follows, okay? I'll show you some examples of that on my little whiteboard. But I'll show you all the ways of saying. So instead of questo, this, we've got that. These are like demonstrative pronouns. Questo sounds like it's quite close to me. Quello sounds like it's kind of over there, a bit further away. This and that can be used for contrasting as well. This thing and that thing. So what we're going to look at is how you say that or those. Lots of different ways of doing it. There's quello, quella, quello, quella. In fact, there's also quel. Then there's quel with an apostrophe, and then there's quei, and then there's quegli, and there might be other ones as well, but they're all different ways of saying that or those of something. Now, quegli that we've got here, Quegli, this bit here means those, and the li at the end shows you that it's in front of something that's masculine, plural. Li aspetti becomes quegli aspetti. The aspects become those aspects, okay? So demonstrative pronouns, okay? Quegli aspetti della tua vita, of your life. Again, we know that this is written in the to, like addressing someone in the to form. Why do we know that? Because the verbs are written in the to conjugation, like stai cambiando, stai scegliendo, se non stai cercando la tua vita instead of vostra vita or sua vita, come vorresti, aspects of your life that are not going how you would want. So that's the verb volere, to want, and it's in the to form. That's the second person singular, io tu, okay, informal, and it's the esti ending tells me that it's the to form of the conditional tense of the verb volere, okay? Otherwise it would be vorrebbe in the lei form, if I'm talking to you like one person formally, and if I'm talking in the voi form, addressing you all, plural you, then that would be vorreste, but it's vorresti, okay? So all of this is written addressing someone in the to form. Right, let's have a look then. Let's look at the next bit here. I have to come down a bit. So, let's just recap. If you're not changing it, then you are choosing it. Otherwise, if you're not trying to or looking to in some way, by some means, to change those aspects of your life that are not going as you would like, then that means, significa che, you are choosing to keep them as they are. Okay? Quindi, therefore, so, hence, that kind of thing. Chiediti, that's also in the to form. Ask yourself. Chiediti, ask yourself. Cosa ti sta stretto nella tua quotidianità? Right, so there's lots of things here that tell you that this is in the to form, right? Ask yourself, chiediti. Chiedi is in the to form, ti is the yourself bit. Cosa ti sta stretto? So what is starti stretto? So this is to do with kind of being something that doesn't fit in your life. Something that you've outgrown, okay? Something that doesn't fit you. That stare stretto, stare largo is to do with, like, say, clothes not fitting you. So what isn't quite right in your life or in your daily life? Quotidianità, in your daily life. Cosa stai, so cosa means che cosa, what. Cosa stai facendo? Now, when we're talking about gerund forms, there's a few irregular ones. So you might not be able to see it very well there because I've written it in a kind of dodgy way. What? Cosa stai facendo? That's what are you doing at present. Cosa stai facendo? That's from the verb fare. So fare looks like an ARE verb. Okay, it looks like this. But if you take off the ARE and you add ando to make it the gerund form, like I said, you'd have fando. No. Instead, we take the old sort of Latin root fac, F-A-C-E, and we add endo to it. So it's actually quite like an irregular gerund form. There's a few irregular ones. Bevendo, facendo. Can't quite remember what the other one is now, but there's 2 or 3 irregular gerund forms. Otherwise, ARE verbs go to ando. Take the ARE off, go to ando. IRE and ERE verbs go to endo. Okay. Oh, dire is another one. So dire means to say or to tell, and that changes to dicendo. Okay, so dire becomes dicendo, fare becomes facendo. Okay, so they tend to be irregular elsewhere in their conjugations as well. In fact, even when you conjugate fare in the present tense, it becomes faccio. Okay, so it's got that C, that fac sound. So it is kind of sort of familiar, the fac sound. Cosa stai facendo means what are you doing, like currently, at present. Where are we? Ah, yeah. Cosa stai facendo di concreto? So what are you doing? What concrete thing are you doing? What are you actually doing? What real thing are you doing? Per provare a modificarlo. So what are you doing? What concrete thing are you doing to change or modify it? Modificarlo. To modify it. So what's this it thing? The it, excuse me, is what is cosa ti sta stretto nella tua quotidianità. So what is it that's not quite right, that doesn't fit, that you've outgrown in your daily life, okay? Whatever that is. Cosa stai facendo di concreto per provare a modificarlo? What are you doing to change that? Whatever it is that's going wrong. Whatever it is you've outgrown, that doesn't quite fit anymore. So, modificarlo, to modify it, to change it. Mantenerli, to maintain or to, why do I keep forgetting that translation of mantenerli? Preserve them. So here, li and lo, la, li, le, these are all direct object pronouns. They mean it or them, to modify them, to change it, to change them, to modify it, that kind of thing. And they tack onto the end of an infinitive verb, okay? And sometimes they come before a verb that's conjugated, but we're not going to go into direct object pronouns at the moment. That's just what they mean here. Let's look at the next page because there's 2 more paragraphs. So let's see what the next part is. È vero, it's true. È vero. Probabilmente non puoi cambiare tutto ciò che ti circonda. It's true. Probabilmente, probably, non puoi cambiare tutto che ti circonda. It's true that probably you can't change tutto ciò, everything or all that, all of that which ti circonda, surrounds you. Okay, circondare, to go around or surround you. Ma questi casi puoi lavorare sull'atteggiamento mentale. So, but these cases, if you like, you can work on the l'atteggiamento is your attitude, but these things, if you like, let's just call it things, you can work on sull'atteggiamento. That's a nice long word, but it just means attitude. Pretty sure we've had another one when we were talking about ikigai, the Japanese attitude, Japanese like philosophy or way of looking at life. I think we saw the word atteggiamento there, and that means attitude. Atteggiamento mentale, mental attitude, as opposed to what? Con cui, with which, ti ci rapporti, with which you relate it. Rapportare is to relate something, or to like be related. Rapportare. Let's just see if there's a better. To compare or correlate. Correlate's a good way of translating that. Rapportare. So again, that's in the to form, and that's the to version of that pronoun. So it's true. Probably you can probably not change tutto ciò che ti circonda, everything which surrounds you or is around you. Ma questi casi puoi lavorare sull'atteggiamento mentale con cui ti ci rapporti, with which you relate, with which correlates. Can work on your mental attitude, which relates to them, I suppose, which relates to which relates to the things around you which you can't change. Okay, so it's basically saying if you can't change everything around you, because that's probably not possible, you can change your own attitude towards those things. Okay, so it's very empowering, this text. Quando modifichi, that's in the to form, when you change or modify il modo di vedere una cosa, il modo di, the way of, modo, way, or mode, di vedere una cosa, way of seeing something. Una cosa is a thing. D'altra parte, from like the other side, cambia l'effetto che essa ha su di te. Su di te tells you again that this is in the to, addressing someone in the to form. So when you modify the way that you look at something, a thing, from another perspective or another side, it changes the effect that this has on you. Yes, it does. If you're able to put yourself from a different perspective to look at something and observe something, it can change the effect that that thing has on you. So you might have noticed essa there, and similarly you might find esso. That kind of means he. Esso could mean he or it. Essa could mean she or it. Okay, so it's like a pronoun. I guess that kind of makes it like more formal writing, but it's talking about the way of looking at something. You can change the effect that this thing, essa, see that's feminine, this thing, it, this thing, has on you. Su di te, upon you, so the effect this has on you. You see that elsewhere, you see it just down here. Again, when it's talking about the effect something has on you. Insomma. So, in all, in summary, other ways of translating insomma. Therefore, in conclusion, so, hence. Quite a useful little way to say that. Hai sempre, you always have, hai sempre la possibilità, the possibility, di trasformare, of transforming or changing, un qualche aspetto, any aspect, okay, or some aspect. Se non quello che ti infastidisce, quite hard word to say. Se non quello che ti infastidisce, allora il tuo modo di guardarlo. So, this is ending on a very positive note. Therefore, you always have the possibility of transforming one aspect, something. Se non quello che ti infastidisce, if not that one, or that thing, che, just make sure you can see that because I can't see my monitor. And we'll zoom in a bit. Insomma, hai sempre la possibilità di trasformare, attention there because there's no N, transform in English would have an N, transformare, or transform, but here it's trasformare, very typical of Italian, okay? Un qualche aspetto, some aspect. Se non quello che ti infastidisce, that's from the verb infastidire, which means to bother or annoy. So if you can't change that thing, that which bothers you, there's another little direct object pronoun there, the thing that bothers you, allora, then, il tuo modo di guardarlo, okay, then your way of looking at, to look at it. Guardarlo. Again, we've got the infinitive verb, and at the end of the infinitive, they're taking off the final E and they put lo, the direct object. It means it, looking at it. Guardarlo. E quindi, and therefore, l'effetto che ha su di te, the effect that it has upon you. Okay? E quindi l'effetto che ha su di te, scusa. Se non lo stai cambiando, if you're not changing it, allora lo stai scegliendo, then you're choosing it. I like that. I think it's really, really good. So what we've seen there is we've seen the use of stare in the present tense plus verbs in the infinitive, the gerund form. And that creates like an ongoing, continuous present tense. As it happens, you can also see the past continuous used in a similar way with this stare, like stavo, guardando, I was looking at something. Stavo mangiando, I was eating something. So the imperfect of stare, stavo, plus the gerund form of the verb can form this past continuous tense. But here we see the present continuous. We also see lots of uses of like items relating to the to form of address. So we'll see verbs in the to conjugation of the present tense, or conditional vorresti, or we'll see possessive adjectives like tua vita, tuo modo di guardarlo. We'll see direct object pronouns relating to you in the singular to form, which is ti. What else do we see here? We also see some nice verbs which relate to kind of choice and attitude. So we've got cambiare, scegliere, trasformare, vedere, guardare, etc. And then, modificare in the to form. I like these, they all have similar meanings. We also see the use of cercare di, fare qualcosa, which is to try to do something. Cercare di cambiare. So we've got some repeated vocabulary, which is good because you know, it helps us to understand something and go, oh, I know that word, I saw it just now, and to go back and check the meaning. What else is quite useful? We've got a couple of kind of question forms as well. Cosa stai facendo? What are you doing? Cosa ti sta stretto nella tua quotidianità? So we also have some kind of idiomatic phrases like star stretto, to not quite fit, if you like. That's a very loose translation. So we've got some useful stuff here. But underneath that we also have quite a useful kind of meaning, which is that if there's something in your life you want to change and you're not changing it, then that's a choice as well, okay? So maybe you should use that choice to do something positive. And I, for one, will have to take that into account for myself. So I'm going to try and use this text as inspiration as well as useful language content. Underneath, for the members of my club, there's 3 comments which I found underneath this post, which was originally on LinkedIn. So you can read those comments and just get an idea of what other people are saying in real time. Real people are making real comments, and you can find those comments underneath. Then we've got a link to this video as well as a couple of come si dice type activities for you to just check your understanding of some Italian and some English phrases which are found within that text. I hope that's useful. Thank you very much. Grazie mille e alla prossima volta. Ciao!